Hey everyone, welcome back. We're on day 3, video 4, the last one of the day. So hang in there with me a little bit longer. One thing I wanted to finish up with on the last video, I forgot to mention it. When it comes to networking, you do want to rely upon your friends. That's what's going to get you started. But what's going to sustain you is networking with new relationships, particularly freelancers or even people in your field. It's amazing how it seems like, okay, they are competitors. But as you see, there's plenty of room out there. And some of your best ideas, some of your best criticism, which can help you grow, is going to come from networking with people already in your field. Keep that in mind. Okay, let's talk about new school media. And that's new school ways of marketing yourself. And that's social media. Now, you've heard of most of these. Whether you are on them or not is another thing entirely. But you want to become familiar with these. This is the wave of the future. Let me go ahead and here's what I'm talking about. When it comes to just the sheer numbers of people that you want to reach out to, very few avenues or channels have the ability to reach out to so many as Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn and blogging and YouTube. This is the wave of the future. So you should go ahead and become familiar with this now starting than later, rather than later. And the other thing is that to keep in mind about this is not a transactional way. Like if you put an ad on Craigslist, that's kind of a transactional way to get business. If you apply for a job on Odesk, it's a transactional way to get business, and that's great. It's going to help you with your bank account in the short term. But long term, social media is a long-term bet. It's not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's a way to develop relationships that will carry you a long time. The analogy I like to use is basically kind of building a shelter for yourself. If you want a immediate shelter that's easy to put up, then a tent works just fine as shelter. But long term, it won't ever last. It's going to break down or not provide the type of either room and or the type of shelter that you'll need to keep you safe and warm and well fed long term. Social media is like building a house. It's a lot more expensive. It does take more time. It does take more resources. But in the end, it's going to lead to something that's a bit more sustainable. So that's the thing to keep in mind, is this a relationship building type of tools. I'm not going to go into all the specifics on it. Actually, we're going to have a module in the future on when it comes to the freelance method, social media method as well. So please look out for that. It'll help you on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, blogging, YouTube, on how to sell things, how to sell yourself, how to leverage them not just for personal relationships but for business contacts and relationships, and ultimately more money for you. Keep an eye out for that. It's a social media method. Now, let's go ahead and get out of this and look at, let's start the first one, Facebook. Now, I signed up for this portfolio. Obviously, again, it's an alias. And now it looks pretty bland because it's the same situation that I had when it comes to Odesk. I have to actually invest some time and energy populating it, putting in some pictures, filling out my profile, connecting with friends. Now the cool thing is when you sign up for a Facebook account, a personal account, it'll actually, if you allow it, scan your email and contact lists to populate all your friends, because there's a concept in Facebook which you'll quickly find out about. It's find friends. And it'll actually make suggestions. It has an algorithm in it that says, okay, if you're this age, you grew up in this part of the town or part of the world rather, you work for this company, you went to the high school or university, it can actually scan its entire database and make suggestions of people who've worked with you, people who went to school with you, people who grew up with you, and you can begin friending people and keep up with them. Because it's a really kind of cool concept of being able to communicate and write on your wall what's on your mind. You can say, today I signed up for Odesk for the first time. Wish me luck. And after you have your friends, you can put everyone, okay? If you have your friends, they'll see that on their wall and say, wow, that's great, Jack. Congratulations, good luck. And that's an opportunity for you to sell. Like, hey, guess what? Here's what I'm doing. So if you have anything like that or know anyone, keep me in mind. Now you've done some real soft, suggestive selling. It's no big deal. People understand that. So that's how you're going to kind of keep track and start building your network just with your friends. But as you go, you're again throwing out the net wider and wider. People that have hired you, people that you meet, you're going to ask, hey, friend me on Facebook, and that way you'll be able to continually talk about cool projects you've done, accomplishments you've done. The same is true with Twitter. Twitter is the short microblogging, is how it's described. You're only allowed 140 characters. It's not as useful in terms of just having deep relationships, but it does help build those relationships through a quick update of what's going on. The way I'd use Twitter, if I were you, just to start off with, is that you share your accomplishments and achievements or good news, because you've only got 140 characters, so it's a small thing. But once you sign on, again, it'll scan your contacts, your Facebook contacts, your email contacts. You'll start with that in terms of following your friends, and they can follow you. And eventually you can begin adding to your Twitter account that you're following other people in your industry or news in your industry, or something really cool happens. You can tweet about that. That's what it's called when you tweet. When you write a short note, it's tweeting. You can learn about that as well. LinkedIn, the same thing. LinkedIn is is very much like Facebook. It's a social network. You sign up for it, but this one is a business based, and actually is very powerful because you can put a lot of information about your industry, and it makes some suggestions to you about who you should contact or groups you can join, and you should build on that conversation. It's very powerful. Blogging is another form. The best way to look at what's on blogging is, of course, to go to your community and look inside Freelance Focus, and you'll have these top freelance blog sites. You don't have to necessarily start a blog. You can start adding to the conversation or making comments on blogs, getting a reputation in that, and also in the forums. These forums, you can start talking about contractors and best practices. You begin to develop your reputation that way. Also, there's YouTube. Hey, look, we're on YouTube. It's another way to let people know what's going on. You share knowledge and experiences, but in a cool, fun way, hopefully. As you can see, we're already on there, and you can too. The key is make it entertaining or interesting or very valuable, and people will respond to that. Now, in terms of some of the key things just to close out with, actually, I do want to show you something else. I missed something. Odesk does provide some really neat little connections. You can actually connect through your profile. Here we go, extending Odesk. Connect your Facebook account and your Twitter account directly to your Odesk account. So that way you can actually send information and cool things back and forth. Whenever you're looking for a job, you can apply to that. If you're posting a job, you can put that on Facebook. If you've passed a really cool test or one of the skills tests and done very well, you scored a 96%, you can do that as well. So keep that in mind that there's a lot of ways to interconnect and do that. You also have Hire Me widgets. Let me back up. That's on your profile. It says Hire Me widgets. If you want to put an ad on someone else's website, these are built-in widgets. All you have to do is cut and paste. This is HTML or code here, and you can do this one, just this button here. This one, if you have your own website or a friend has a website, or you can actually pay to be on someone's website, then you can actually just cut and paste this and put it on the website, and you get this really cool little widget. It's another way to market yourself. It's really cool. Now, in closing out, I know that we've gone through a lot of information, but I want you to keep in mind with social networking or the new school way to market yourself, a few things. Perception is reality. Be careful what you post on your Facebook account or your LinkedIn account, because your pictures, your friends, your writings, if any of your employers or prospective employers finds that, it reflects upon you. You put bad stuff out there, compromising information, it will reflect upon you poorly, so be careful. Also, don't be shy. In order to help build out your reputation and your network, you've got to start talking. You've got to start posting on forums. You've got to start friending people on Facebook. You've got to start meeting people. And this is all electronically, not just in the real world. Third thing is be consistent. It shows you're an active, committed part of the community. It shows you're alive. If you are used to adding to forums and blogs and you just drop out and stop doing it for 3 weeks, a month, then people wonder, what's wrong with this person? Where are they? What's going on? Stay in that constant contact, and it builds a sense of connection. Finally, try to add value. In everything you do, add value. say something or share something. It's not even something you write that's original content or that you share, but you share an article or some news that you found that you think is valuable. It should be cool, interesting, thought-provoking, encouraging, or just plain valuable in and of itself, especially when it comes to your client list. If you're putting out good, thought-provoking stuff, which helps them, there's ideas for them, that you will be valuable to them as a business partner. And then finally, build the relationships. It's not a transaction. It's a long-term relationship you're trying to build. So be sure to put some thought into what you're doing that shows a lot of value and consistency, and that you always come across as professional. If you do that, you're going to be successful. Your marketing will be great. So good luck, and we will see you tomorrow.